Greetings and salutations, friends. And it's Monday. Well, it's Thursday for me when I'm writing this, and Saturday for me when I'm recording it. But for you, it's Monday. Well, if you're watching this the day it goes live, it's Meta Mondays, okay? Why do you have to make everything so difficult? This week, we're going to be looking at something slightly off-meta in the deck that shocked the world with its first place finish at the North American Remote Duel Invitational, Subterror. And more specifically, Subterror Dragoon. Piloted by Cesar Rodriguez, this deck smashed through a field flooded with Virtual World and Dryton players, defeating Octavio Balcazar's Virtual World deck in the finals 2-0. Can we take a second to appreciate how cool a name Octavio Balcazar is? I bet the second place finish in the UK Invitational will be some guy called Jeff who lives in Sussex. He has a dog. I'm sure he's a totally fine person, but he's no Octavio Balcazar, is he? We're going to have our usual look over the archetype. Not going to have so much in the way of combo corner here, due to, well, rejecting combo and returning to monkey. And then, we'll have an in-depth look at Mr. Rodriguez's list, as it has some interesting inclusions that differ from the norm. Subscribe! Leave a comment, like the video. This takes a while, you know. Subterrors are an archetype based around flip effects, with a lot of ways to manipulate whether a monster, both their own or the opponent's, is face up or face down. See, their flip effects are scary, so the implication is that they are below the ground when face down, hence sub, and scary, hence terror. The incredible naming convention from Konami continues. I actually like the name Subterror, it makes me think of Tremors. Subterror actually has access to an astonishing 13 main deck monsters, but you'll only ever really see 3 played. The 3 that pretty much all Subterror decks will play are Subterror Guru, Subterror Fiendess, and last, while also being probably least, Subterror Nemesis Archer. Let's start with the one that matters the least, Nemesis Archer. Archer has the effect to shuffle back an opponent's monster into the deck when it attacks it, as long as that monster is face down and you control another Subterror monster. Archer also has the effect that if it's destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a Subterror monster from your deck in either face up or face down defense position. Subterror Fiendess is an in-archetype hand trap, ooh, isn't that fancy, that also works on the field, so that's pretty cool. Fiendess can be sent to the graveyard, either from your hand or field, when an opponent activates a card or effect. Alongside this cost, you have to target a Subterror monster you control, so you do need to have a face-up Subterror monster on the field to activate her effect. Once you've paid these costs, you get to negate the activation of the card or effect that your opponent foolishly attempted to activate, and change the Subterror monster you targeted to face down defense position. Alongside being an archetype hand trap omni negate and total babe, Fiendess has another effect, which is also pretty good. At the low cost of targeting a face up monster you control and changing it to face down defense position, you get to special summon a Subterror monster from your hand or graveyard in face up or face down defense position. This means you could normal summon your Fiendess, use this effect to target herself, flipping her face down and then special summoning a Subterror monster from your graveyard or hand, since she doesn't specify it has to be a monster except herself. Finally, we have Subterror Guru, the big bad himself, Eater of Glue. Guru's flip effect lets you search out any Subterror card, moving it from your deck to your hand. Guru also has a second effect which makes him Book of Moon, but more annoying. Target one other face-up monster on the field, change it, and this card, to face down defense position. Note, it is only a quick effect if you control another Subterror monster. What's nice with this effect is it doesn't specify you need to target an opponent's monster. This means you can use the effect to flip your own Subterror monsters back face down. Probably not as relevant as Book of Mooning an opponent's monster, but you know, good to know. Spell-wise, we have a field spell that isn't a Subterror name, the Hidden City, and a spell that never really saw play in Subterror decks, but is run in Cesar Rodriguez's winning list, Subterror Cave Clash. The Hidden City on activation lets you add a Subterror monster from your deck to your hand. It also lets you flip up a face-down Subterror monster you control to either attack or defense position once per turn. Finally, it allows you to flip up a Subterror monster when your opponent declares an attack and then negate that attack. Subterror Cave Clash, a continuous spell, gives all your Subterror monsters a wee attack and defense boost of 500. That's fine and is probably relevant enough to make a difference. Its main use is that when a Subterror monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you get to add one of your Subterror monsters in your grave to your hand. It's a touch of resource regeneration in a deck that's only real way to get stuff out of the grave is through Fiendess, and let's face it, you want to be using her for her Omni Negate more often than not. Onto the traps, a card type Subterror loves. There are 3 archetypal traps, but we'll talk about the one that saw play in Cesar's list, Subterror Final Battle. Subterror Final Battle has not 1, not 2, but 4 activatable effects. It also has a neat little clause that after activating it and resolving its effect, it's set face down again instead of being sent to the graveyard. Let's go through the effects. Effect 1. Change a set Subterror monster to either face up, attack or defense position. Effect 2. Change a face up Subterror monster to face down defense position. Effect 3. The attack and defense of a Subterror monster becomes the combined total of its attack and defense until the end of turn. Effect 4. Activated effects of Subterror monsters can't be negated this turn. So, 2 effects to change a Subterror's battle position, 1 to make a Subterror monster a beefy boy, and 1 that says my effect resolve and there's nothing you can do about it. All these with the ability to be reset, to be used again, and 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 again, on following turns. And that rounds out the archetypal cards. I think it's also important here to have a look at the, I don't want to say support, a look at the, lol, you thought you would get to have a fun interactive game of Yu-Gi-Oh! You absolute fool, you moron cards that the deck employs. It's floodgate time, my friends. Mr. Rodriguez decided to run, in the main, 2 floodgates. Summon limit, and there can be only 1. The latter of which had its name butchered multiple times during the event. It's there can be only 1, not there can only be 1. You think these people have never watched one of the most timeless pieces of cinematic mastery, with an amazing soundtrack from legendary composer Michael Kamen, and the only memorable role of Sean Connery's career, 1986's Highlander.
There can be only 1.
Anyway, enough about the greatest film ever made. Back to the cards. Summon Limit is the Ron seal of cards, in that it does exactly what it says on the tin. It limits each player to only 2 summons per turn. There can be only 1, lovingly referred to as Tikaboo, means each player can only control 1 monster of each type, and if the player controls more than 1 monster of a given type, they have to send monsters to the graveyard until they only control 1 of that type. Let's do a little example. Our player here has Papacorn and Sweetcorn, 2 plant type monsters. Why these 2? Why the fuck not, my friends? Why the fuck not? Give a more relevant example? No, I don't think I will. So our player has 2 plant type monsters on the field. The other player has 1 set card in their spell and trap zone. Can you guess what it is? That's right, kiddos, it's there can be only 1. When this gets flipped face up, Cornman here has to decide whether they want to send their Papacorn or Little Sweet Corn to the grave, as they can only control 1 plant type monster. So now you know how the card works, and the more you know, the more deeply depressing your life is. Stay ignorant, kids. Seriously though, there can be only 1 is an incredible floodgate, especially in the current meta, hitting Virtual World, who are all either Psychic or Worm type, Dryton, who are all machines, for the Dryton names anyway, and even hitting Bird Up and Eldritch, with Bird Up relying on a bunch of winged beasts, and Eldritch with its zombie boys. Remember, all the Golden Land traps summon themselves with zombies, so you can't activate them under Tikaboo if you have a big golden man in high heels on the field. Finally, let's talk about the second part of the deck name, Dragoon. You really all should know what Red Eye's Dark Dragoon does, but let's go over it for all you that have been living under a rock since he was announced to be coming in the 2020 Tin of Lost Memories, aka Megatin 2020, aka dilute the card pool with Infinity Chasers for no real reason, oh, and no promos. Red Eye's Dark Dragoon is a level 8 fusion monster that requires Dark Magician alongside a Red Eye's Dark Dragon or any dragon effect monster. Firstly, Dragoon can't be destroyed by card effects. Cool. He also can't be targeted by card effects. Okay. During your main phase, you can destroy 1 monster your opponent controls and burn them for an amount equal to the destroyed monster's attack. You can do this the same amount of times per turn as the number of normal monsters used for Dragoon's fusion summon. So if you use Dark Magician and Red Eye's Dark Dragon, that's 2 pops, with burn. But we're not finished yet. Dragoon reads like a Tolstoy novel. This big bad boy has a quick effect that lets you discard a card when a card or effect is activated to negate the activation of said card or effect, destroy that card, and if it is destroyed, Dragoon gets a hefty, permanent 1000 attack boost. All of this on the classic Blue Eyes stat line of 3000 attack and 2500 defense. Now I know what you're thinking. If you didn't already know about Dragoon, it's hard to summon, right? Requiring something like Dark Magician, this is powerful, but probably super niche. Wrong. 2 words. Red Eyes Fusion. Red Eyes is hyphenated, so it is only 2 words, okay? Red Eyes Fusion lets you fusion summon a monster that lists Red Eyes Black Dragon as a material, so Dragoon fits the bill. The main part of Red Eyes Fusion is that it allows you to use monsters from hand, field, or deck as materials for that summon. So you run 1 copy each of Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon, and just send them from deck to grave. Sure, it does mean that you can't normal or special summon any monsters for the rest of the turn, but when your other monsters all love to be set face down, who really gives a shit? I strongly believe that everyone crying out for Dragoon, or even Verte Anaconda, to be banned, are aiming their anger in the wrong direction. Red Eyes Fusion is the problem card. Ascending from deck makes the cost of getting Dragoon out so minimal. Ban Red Eyes Fusion. Speaking of Verte Anaconda, let's go over this snaky plant super quickly. Predaplant Verte Anaconda is a generic Link 2 monster, requiring 2 effect monsters to summon. Verte can have you pay 2000 life points to send any fusion or polymerization spell from your deck to the grave and copies its effect. Since it sends the card for cost, this can't be Ash Blossomed. Obviously, here you would send a copy of Red Eyes Fusion, resolve its effect by sending a Dark Magician and Red Eyes Dark Dragon, and bada bing bada boom, one big Dragoon on field. Combo Corner. Combo Corner. So here we have Cesar Rodriguez's winning list. We've got the Subterror package here with the 3 Guru, 3 Fiendess, and the 1 Nemesis Archer. We've also got the odd inclusion of the Cave Clash, but it seemed to work for him. We've got the 3 Hidden City, and the 1 Terraforming to make it more likely we get to that Hidden City, and the 2 Subterror Final Battle. We've then got the Dragoon package of Red Eyes Black Dragon. Ignore the fact that I've been calling it Red Eyes Dark Dragon this entire video, I'm just an idiot. Dark Magician, and the 3 Red Eyes Fusion. Hand trap wise, we have 3 Dimension Shifter. And that's it, really, but Dimension Shifter is a fucking amazing card in any deck that can play it. So yeah, that really good card. If you don't know what it does, it's if you have no cards in your graveyard, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, and until the end of the next turn, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. So even if you're going first and you don't really have any place that are going to put anything into the graveyard, or it's things that you don't care about being banished, you can just activate on your turn before you go. If you don't care about having these 2 and you open the Red Eyes Fusion, just chain D Shifter, banish these 3, and then your opponent has to get over a Dragoon without being able to use the graveyard, which is pretty spicy. Got the 2 Triple Tactic Talents. 2 Triple Tactic Talents, just a, really good card. 3 Pot of Prosperity. We'll talk about this a little bit more when we go over the extra deck and the side deck. It's interesting. 2 Pot of Duality, because it doesn't really care about special summoning that much. So if you don't open with the Red Eyes Fusion, feel free to fire off a Duality. 2 Book of Moon, because it's just, flip something face down. That's what they do. 3 Summon Limit, to say no to combo. 2 There Can Be Only One. We went over that in some depth. 2 Solemn Strike, and 3 Solemn Judgment. Now I liked Caesar's reasoning for only having the 2 strike, which is that because it's a fixed life point cost, sometimes you just can't pay it. Especially if you've got 3 Solemn Judgment. So these only take half your life points, and it's always half your life points. This is always 1500, and sometimes just can't be activated. 41 cards in the main deck. Nice, really annoying number, but that's fine. Now we'll go into the extra deck. We have the 3 Dragoon of Red Eyes, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. The Last Warrior from Another Planet, which pairs well with the Waking the Dragon in the side. So if that gets destroyed by an opponent's card effect, and is now in the graveyard or banished, you can special summon 1 monster from your deck or extra deck. So you can bring out Last Warrior from Another Planet, which destroys all other monsters you control, and then neither player can summon monsters at all. So, yeah, fun. 2 Elder Entity Intis, Netbeats, for if the opponent's on Maximus, basically. You send that, you get pop 1 of their cards. 2 Stardust Dragon, which works well with the Starlight Road in the side. Yep, double Starlight Road in the side. When a card or effect is activated that would destroy 2 or more cards you control, negate the effect, and if you do, destroy that card. Then, you can special summon 1 Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. 2 Raidraptor Ultimate Falcons, again as Wakened Dragon targets. It can't be affected by card effects, 3500 attack, it's a big beefy boy. The 1 Ling Karibo for if you need to, I don't know, like normal summon Fiendess, and that's all you've got. 2 Verti Anaconda to get to the Red Ice Fusion. If need be, if you're running 3 in the main, you're more likely to see it. 1 Boral Sword Dragon and 1 Megaclops, again as Waking the Dragon targets. In the side you've got the 3 Nibiru for anyone that wants to summon more than 5 times. 2 Lightning Storms and a Harpy's Feather Duster, mainly for back row. I'd assume, I mean obviously the Lightning Storm can hit monsters, but without any other form of back row removal, these are the 3. The 3 Waken the Dragon as a side tech for people that are running things like Cosmic Cyclone and Twin Twisters and Harpy's Feather Duster. 2 Ice Dragon's Prison, because it's a really strong card. It hits a lot of decks, it sucks against Dryton. 2 Starlight Road to enable the Stardust Dragons, and 2 Mask of Restrict. Spicy little tech that says neither player can tribute cards. So that means Dryton effects just can't happen. Let's just talk about the Pot of Prosperities quickly. So because you have a bunch of cards in here that are only really relevant post-siding, Pot of Prosperity has an easy choice for banishing 6, particularly in Game 1. You don't have the Waking the Dragons, and you don't have the Starlight Roads in the main deck, so you banish the Stardust Dragons, banish the Raidraptors, banish Boral Sword, and the Megaclops, and there's your 6. Or, you know, Last Warrior from Another Planet, if you want to do that instead of one of these. Fact is, it gives easy choices for Pot of Prosperity to banish 6, and then search 6 cards deep to find your Red Ice Fusion. And that about sums it up for Subterrors. We had a quite in-depth look at the cards. We had one of the most in-depth and interesting combo corners I've ever done. And then this really interesting deck list. Now I know I've called the deck a monkey deck a lot during this, but the fact is, to be able to play this deck properly, knowing when to activate your traps and your effects, it takes a lot of skill. So I don't want to take anything away from Cesar Rodriguez's win by continuously calling it a monkey deck. That's just for fun. Until next time friends, Treeborn Frog, checking out.